Greetings, this is Warrior King, and the time has come for the lions and the lioness to tell their own story. This is the lion's voice. Give thanks and praise for the wonderful blessing that's been poured on me. Give thanks and praise. Jah use I as an instrument to set the people free. Jah give her the power to chant. Jah give her the power to chant. Rastafari, the lion's voice.
What are you waiting for? Come together, calling from near and far. Know who you are. What are you waiting for? Rally up, it takes the dust. What are you waiting for? Ancestors paved the way for us. Yes, I am Ketis Oyonde, asking, what are you waiting for to come together? The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. This is the lion's voice.
Well, anyway, long story short, from that time, started getting in trouble, incidentally, because like I said, our neighborhoods were tough. I grew up around a lot of, individuals that became, into, they were tough guys, you know what I'm saying? They got into crime and violence and drugs and all this other stuff, Some of it started, you know how it is,
Well, front to us, a son was born and a child was given.
I want to ask you a question. Have you got your book? Haile Selassie's Ethiopia Volume 1, The Rise of the Priest Warrior King. I've read the book in its entirety, and I must say it's very inspirational, very informative, and very historical, right?
Them call him Rastafari. When he was born, rain fall from sky. Them call him Rastafari. When he was grown in airplanes he fly. They call him Rastafari. The lion break the chain, weep not, don't cry. Them call him Rastafari. Read the Revelation chapter 5 verse 5. Then born near the city of Harar, the inspiration for Bob Marley's guitar. People crowd him like some big superstar. It no matter if England.
All right, so I'm gonna introduce my guest. It's a great pleasure, housekeeping out of the way, to introduce this guest. I've known this guest again. We're coming on them 25, 30. We up in them high numbers now. You know what I mean? We both still look young. But we've known each other for some time. We both have youths now. We didn't have youths when we met. We met at Howard University, one of my brethren. And one of the reasons that I started this channel is because when I was online, the representation of Rastafari didn't reflect the reality that I was living. You know what I mean? I came up in the Liberty with brethren who were engineers, architects, holding Bingy man, holding the Liberty firm, you know what I mean? And when I was online, I was only seeing artists, you know what I mean? I was only seeing, maybe one and two farmer. You don't even see the farmer so much, but there's so much diversity within I and I Rastafari. And I want to show the item and share with the item some of I good brethren. We don't always agree. Sometimes I have to take him on a basketball court and shift him up to, you know what I mean, them way there. But is a beautiful soul and a brilliant civil engineer. So Lion Pride, help I to welcome and I good brethren, Ras Leo, Ras Culture, Dumont. Welcome.
Yo. Well, I thought I wasn't going to get through that introduction right there.
Yeah, I got to season the pot.
I'm loving. What's up, Fire? What's up, man?
We're here giving thanks for life and for strength. I see that I representing the HU today. We give thanks, Haiti, representing. And the brethren was also on a panel that we did for his massive visit to the Caribbean. So if you didn't see that, go check out the panel. Proud Haitian Roots. So custom here on the Lion Voice Network, we're going to ask the I to step into our heretical time machine as a griot. Give us your origin story. Take us to the moment of your birth and your journey to Rastafari. Paint the picture of who is Leo the Mon. What was the journey? You know what I mean?
All right. Well, I was born and raised in a little town called Little Haiti, Miami, Florida. You know, and I'm basically from the inner city of Miami. Anyone that knows anything about Little Haiti, knows the environment. But it's an inner city neighborhood. Both of my parents are from Haiti. I'm one of 7 children from on my mom's side, and my dad's side I can't count. But I'm the last of the 7. And yeah, pretty much, born and raised in Little Haiti. Before Little Haiti was Little Haiti, it was another town called Lemon City, before the large influx of Haitian immigrants. And so, my journey towards Rastafari began through that experience in Little Haiti. I was at a point in time in my life, growing up in that environment, it was tough. Like, us Haitians had to stand up and fight. People who were of Haitian descent, had to stand up and fight. I really didn't have the same problems like a lot of other Haitian people were having because I was born and raised in Miami. So, I was cool with a lot of people, but it was just a tough environment that created a lot of violence, and so, people were clicking up, what I'm saying? And so I went to a school called Edison. I went to Edison Elementary. I went to Edison Middle School. I went to Edison Senior. These are all well-known schools in that area. And going through those schools or whatever have you, and going through the trials and tribulations, it just led me to a point. I had all kinds of different things that happened in my life. I was always into the Bible. I was always into my, religion and such, like my culture, but I went basically from being, if you will, I was in a very Christian for a while, like, if you will, you would call it like the New Age Christian and stuff like that. I used to take my Bible in the 7th grade. I used to take my Bible to school, big book. I used to be known to walk with my Bible. And so anyway, from that time, by the time I got to high school, I had met some brethren or whatever have you, and then the brethren started educating me on the blackness of the Bible. Because I came to him like, yo, let me tell you about the word of Jesus Christ and all this other stuff. And then he was like, learn that. he was a 5%er, he was from New York, and so he started telling me all about 5% Nation of Islam. And, so I started getting more and more into that and, learning about the African story, you know what I mean? And then it just dawned on me like, yeah, the Virgin telling a lot of truth, you know what I'm saying? So that's how I started really getting into my black righteous mindset, if you will, understanding that this was our story. It wasn't just a story about the images that they had to pick. Well, anyway, long story short, from that time, started getting in trouble, incidentally, because like I said, our neighborhoods were tough. I grew up around a lot of, individuals that became, into, they were tough guys, you know what I'm saying? They got into crime and violence and drugs and all this other stuff, Some of it started, how it is, you know what I'm saying? Kind of start innocent, like skipping
for our international viewers, when you talk about Miami, Little Haiti, that's one of those notorious ghetto areas, you know what I mean? That, around America, that's going to be one of the most notorious of them all.
I want to be clear too about just like the Little Haiti neighborhood. It's a Lemon City, it's a mixture of different neighborhoods. The heart of Little Haiti was originally called Lemon City, you know, but it's not like a big project, you know what I'm saying? It's not like big project, it's mixed, you know. So you have patches of Little Haiti that's very affluent.
Okay.
You know, and then you have that depends on what side of the railroad tracks you in. You know, then you have, you know, other neighborhoods that have large scale apartment buildings that had a mix of income types in those apartment buildings. And so just the whole neighborhood just evolved into a way where you had a mixture of economic backgrounds, you know. And so, but the Little Haiti, because it's in Miami, is right next to Liberty City, you know. Liberty City is just west of us, you know.
Notorious area. That's another notorious.
Yeah. So big up to Liberty City too, you know. Big up to all my brethren and sisters over there.
I've been pulled over in Liberty City. I've been pulled over. I got a Liberty City story. And I mean,
yeah, well, you better be careful.
Family down there.
But all right, so anyways, let me just get to it. So just that environment had caused me to be around, you know, certain brethren. We had to get together, and so, you know, my brethren them start, you know, burning herb and stuff like that, you know, and they introduced me to the herb, and from there, you know, that's when I came around certain Rastafari people, you know. That's how I got in touch, you know. So I had we had run into a group of these crazy dreadlocks on 62nd Street called the Nyahbinghi brethren. So I had a bunch of they're not crazy, you know, I'm just joking, but it was like a Nyahbinghi house that was on 62nd, you know, 62nd Street and Northeast 5th Avenue, you know, right on the border of Biscayne Boulevard. And so, you know, my brethren them had introduced me to these other youths. So one of my good brethren too was from Trinidad. His name is Richard, you know, and so him being a Trini, you know, he was already like, you know, into the culture a little bit. So he had put us on it, me and my other partner Taxi. And so anyway, so we had started, you know, visiting the house more and more or whatever have you. And we had a brethren there named Iration. He's from Guyana, part of the Tong family. So Iration, you know, it's Danielle Tong, and there's a whole gang of the Tong family or whatever have you. And so that's how I was first, you know, introduced to them. Next door to them is my good brethren. He's the one that really kind of established the place. His name is Ras Tafari, you know. And, you know, his story is a great story in and of itself. And he had, you know,
we're going to definitely reach out and have him on the platform. One of the founders and elders.
It's a must. It's a must. So, you know, so I was lucky. I was fortunate enough to be around, you know, certain people that was just like really strong and heartical, you know, and they went through a struggle, you know, in a way that strengthened them such, it made them tough. Like they say, iron sharpen iron, you know? So that made them real tough and stuff, you know? And so they was able to give I that knowledge.
Well, they just advertise for the private prisons, yo. They just advertise for the private prisons, yo. They just advertise for the private prisons. They talking about guns and hope the people listen, yo. They just advertise for the private prisons, yo. Open up your eyes, they got private prisons, yo. They just advertise about the private prisons, rapping about drugs and hope the people listen, yo. I'm talking to my people, I hope my people listen. I come to talk the truth, I don't need no permission. I serve the Most High, that's why I'm on a mission. I'm trying to keep my whole bloodline out the prison. They singing about how them guns shine and glisten. They singing about how they selling poison for a living. They cooking up work, got a camera in the kitchen, and the prison corporation getting rich off their decision, yo. They just advertise for the private prisons, yo. They just advertise for the private prisons, yo. They just advertise for the private prisons. They talking about guns and hope the people listen, yo. They just advertise for the private prisons, yo. Open up your eyes, they got private prisons, yo. They just advertise for the private prisons, rapping about drugs and hope the people listen.